Now, to finally deliver the video that I was talking about in the previous video, because that one was getting too long. So I will now talk about the techniques for reprogramming your subconscious mind and just other techniques to solve your problems generally. Now, the first thing that I want to get into about the subconscious mind is just the fact that your subconscious mind is basically a program. You know, you've been programmed and conditioned to think certain things, hold certain traumas, and feel certain things. Like when it comes to you coming across like different encounters or circumstances in your reality or people, and you know you have preconceived notions, beliefs in there that are just running your life unknowingly because we don't always have access to our subconscious because we're using our conscious mind for most of the day. You know, when you're doing things, when you're active, when you're playing football, skateboarding, reading books, at work, literally, you're using your conscious mind, and your brain waves are oscillating at different frequencies. And the reason this is important to know about is because this is going to lead into the technique for reprogramming your subconscious, right? When you want to get into the subconscious mind, you have to go through the conscious mind, which is active. The conscious mind is like the gates to the subconscious. And it's difficult to switch off your conscious mind from what you're actively doing if you're walking, if you're driving, if you're fucking, you know what I'm saying, like I said, football, work, and like it will be hard to switch off your conscious mind and let the subconscious take over because you're literally active, your brain waves are, you're just not relaxed, you know what I'm saying? You're not relaxed. You're in a particular state of like being tense. You're you're particularly tense because I mean you're focused, you're alert. Do you know what I mean? You're in the state of survival when you're alert, and that is not the language of the. So that's not the prime conditions for the subconscious mind to be programmed. The prime conditions are slower, less active brainwave activity. So instead of um, when you're typically when you're conscious, your brainwaves are at the beta frequency. You want to come down to theta, which is slower waves. You know, that's when you're just waking up or you're going to bed or you're literally asleep. Your brainwaves are slow, oscillating slowly because your conscious mind is asleep. It's moved out the way. It is during those times when you wake up or go to sleep, or you can still do this whenever. You just need to be able to learn how to relax yourself just by doing what you do when you first wake up and you're preparing to sleep or sleeping. You lie still and do nothing, typically in silence, preferably in silence even. That is the prime condition for the subconscious mind to be entered and programmed. Relaxation. If you practice relaxation often throughout the day, you'll be able to shift just like that. When you can feel yourself, and this is the beautiful thing about this technique because it can be stretched if you really put the work in. It can be stretched into any part of the day in your life, like, and you can just instantly embody the person you want when you can see that you're misaligned. You know, you can easily just execute on any solution, even without overthinking about it, because you can now instantly embody that person through just relaxation, through just taking a step back, taking a beat, relaxing, taking a breath, closing your eyes, going to the break, going on a toilet break and sitting on the toilet. Just close your eyes for a couple of seconds or minutes. I swear to God, bro. So I had to do when I was working in the warehouse, and where was I working before as well? It was basically another warehouse job, but it was retail. Bro, mind games, I promise you, mind games. But it taught me how to be in such a chaotic environment and find a way to be at peace, find a way to just not lose my fucking marbles, bro. I swear to God, that warehouse was hell. I might describe it as hell now, yeah, but I really do look back and I appreciate the people. I miss the people I worked with. Good family, good community. Obviously, like, like, I got used, bro, like, because they could see how on it I was to just, like, put the work in and do work, and because I was relaxed. And to be fair, I did cut a lot of corners. I hope my managers that hired me aren't watching. We wouldn't watch this video to hear that I did like cut a lot of corners in terms of just like going to the toilet a lot to recalibrate my brain because I was about to, and I was on the verge. I always got pushed to the edge. Sometimes I was in there like literally trying to just like meditate standing up, I swear, zoning out. Even now I've got the ability to just zone out while I'm walking and start to alter my memory. This is part of the technique, and it's like you alter past experiences because one interesting thing as well, every time you recall a memory, um, the potentiality to alter it becomes way easier. Becomes way easier to alter your memory when you recall it after it's already happened and long gone because your mind and your body are always, you know, balancing some sort of like restructuring and decay and rebirth in a sense. You're never the hence why you're never the same person you were yesterday or a couple of minutes or hours ago because your cells are changing, swapping out for new cells. You know what I'm saying? Or the cells are dying and creating new cells or rebuilding, repairing. And the same thing happens with your mind. Plasticity. New neural pathways are strengthened, old ones are weakened, depending on what you do, what your mind is engaged in, what activities you're putting your mind through. All these things, it's a normal process, you know what I'm saying? And that's an easy process. It's a natural and easy process. That's one thing you need to remember going forward, that it's a natural and easy process. So like, obviously, the same way your mind and your body is constantly reconstructing. Even look back a year ago, night and day, night and day, unless like it's a bigger gap for you. But if you look back, you were completely different. You know, you might have liked beans before, and now you'd rather cut your leg off than eat beans again. You know what I'm saying? I've had stuff like that with food, loads of like preferences switching over the course of different like phases of my life. But another key thing that to know for this technique is that your memory can also be altered, like I've already mentioned before, can be altered. And when it is altered, then it can also be reconsolidated into the mind as that new version of whatever you've altered the memory to be. And it might sound like, oh, this is a bunch of bullshit in the sense that this thing has already happened. You can't just alter a memory. Yes, you can. Yes, you literally can. Because first of all, the past doesn't exist anymore. The only thing that's existing is what is currently existing now, in this present moment. You watching this video presently. Do you know what I'm saying? For me, the present moment is right now. The thing that is existing is currently now. But by the time I upload this, that will be the next current moment. Do you know what I'm saying? But point is, this right now is the moment. Do you know what I mean? The only moment that is substantial and real, the one that's being created right now. So anything you've had in the past, right? That's merely just an experience that is internalized and embodied if you choose to embody in a particular way. And it depends how you embody it because obviously, like, let's say two people in the same situation, they're 100% gonna remember it differently because they're not living the same life. They're living two separate realities, interpreting things in two separate ways because of the foundation of their upbringing, the things in their subconscious that causes them to interpret things a particular way. So if that person that experienced that same thing that the other person is right with them, I don't want to use an extreme example, but let's say like a mass shooting or something, and they just happen to be nearby. One person may feel fear, the other person may feel a sense of curiosity, but also like, okay, let's be cautious a little bit. But the other person might be fucking like racking with fear. Do you know what I mean? And now that fear, the person that had the most fear, any loud noises, like PTSD type shit, like any loud noises, anything suspicious in the environment, he's gonna overinterpret it and think that another shooting is gonna happen or that it's gonna happen to him, that he's gonna get packed up, you get me? But if that person that had the really bad experience could just alter his memory slightly, alter his interpretation of that experience slightly, to where it's like, oh, yes, something very bad was happening over there, but I was actually safe with my friend and we made it home and we didn't even get stopped. There was no stopping our tracks when we were, because that's how the other person remembers it, that it's just something he heard in the distance and like it was like, oh shit, let's not go over there. But the other person thought he was gonna die. He was just over interpreting the fact that it happened close by and that, yada yada yada, bro. Like, but once that other person alters his memory slightly, his memory of the experience, he'll start to feel differently about the experience, and then in turn, feel differently about his him feeling differently will cause him to show up differently in life, because it's all about how you feel. It's always down to the feeling, and you can definitely manipulate your feelings through your thoughts, through your thinking, through your perception and interpretation. You could definitely alter your feelings. And that's not to say that you can 100% always be positive or neutral about things, but all that matters when noticing that you feel negative is to be able to first notice it, obviously, and then use that, treat it as a signal that there's something here I haven't worked on. Let me work on it now, instead of letting it define your whole life and your whole character. I want to get into the techniques actually, because I feel like I've gone into a lot of detail about the other things involving like the subconscious and the self concept and the actual body rebuilding. When your brainwaves are oscillating at a slower rate, at a slower frequency, and you're about to go to sleep or you're just waking up and your brainwaves are slow, the reason that it's easier to get through to maybe altering your memories or creating vivid, detailed experiences in your mind to evoke a feeling in you. The reason it's easier for it to traumatize the subconscious is because think about catching, think about catching a car, a taxi. The taxi will, you can't catch the taxi if the taxi is going at 2 million miles per hour. 2 million is a high number, but 2 million miles per hour. The taxi will you can only catch the taxi when the taxi is at slow, it's driving slow or stopped. Do you know what I'm saying? Think about it like that. To be able to put into your subconscious taxi a preferred experience or just a feeling, you know what I'm saying, a embodied state, a state you want to embody, you need to put that image in your subconscious mind, because the subconscious mind deals with symbols, trauma, and repetition. So the more you put images, like images, because when you remember a memory, you're gonna remember the actual scene, and when you imagine things, it's a picture. So that's a form of symbolism that you're putting into the brain, into the subconscious. Sorry, you're loading it with emotion because of how vivid you're making the scene. You know, you immerse yourself in it to the point where you start to feel what you're feeling in that scene, if you was to be in that scene currently. And it's all a matter of repeating it until, I want to say, until you normalize it, honestly, until it's normal to you yeah. Because when you want to employ this technique, is mainly to swap out one negative for the positive, not to like try to take out anything. You can't take it out. Like, everything that the subconscious has gone through, you'll remember forever, for the rest of your life, until you die. You need to swap out for that negative trauma with a trauma that's more positive and has more of an emotional weight, has more of an emotional intensity, to be able to override that one whenever anything kicks in reality, in real life, that you have to embody one state or the other. Your subconscious is more likely going to run the program of the one that has the most emotional weight in it, that has the most capital in your subconscious mind. So when you meditate, it's better to try to just observe what is coming up, instead of trying to, you know what I'm saying, recreate images. Honestly, the thing is, yeah, I can sit here and tell you what to do when you meditate, but it literally doesn't matter. And the reason I say this, right, it might sound a bit contradictory, a little bit, like, because I'm telling you, oh, yeah, do this, do that, and then I'm also telling you it doesn't matter how you do it, because more importantly than what you're doing is the confidence in what you're doing. It's the confidence that what you're doing will work, and is working, and has worked. Like, I promise you, that's why you could employ this technique in the most BS conditions, like the warehouse that I was sitting in the toilet. Oh my days, it stank as well, bro. It actually stank. Like, every time I went inside the toilets to slack off, or to, okay, no, I meant when I went to, like, to recalibrate my mind, I'd have to literally, every time I was in there, because, and it was cold. Sometimes it was cold as fuck in there, so I'd have my coat on and I'd be in my jacket, tears in my eyes because of the smell. Oh my god, I swear that's the worst toilet I've ever been in my life, bro. The worst toilet. The warehouse, I can't lie. Warehouse should low-key be like illegal or something. Like, they just need to. Anyway, you could be in conditions like those where your eyes are tearing up from the stink bomb that's around you in that area, and you can still tell yourself that it's gonna work and that the technique is easy to employ. I don't even want to call it a technique, because it's a thing that you always do. It's a thing that your body naturally does. I've already told you. Neuroplasticity, your memories being able to, your memories having the potentiality to be altered once they're recalled. It's just a thing that can naturally happen in the mind and the body. The functions and mechanics are there. You just have to use it. And you've always been using it. You just weren't consciously aware of how you're using it. That's why some people, no technique, no, oh, this is the specific thing I need to do. They're just confident. They're just confident in themselves, and they fucking smash it. They just smash it. You just have to have the confidence in yourself. Have the confidence that you can have confidence, and then that confidence will snowball into confidence into the technique or into whatever you want to do. You know what I'm saying? To rewrite and overwrite your memories. If you want to tell yourself that through force and hard work it will work, then go ahead. If you want to tell yourself that you hardly need to do anything, you can sit down for 30 seconds and you got it just like that, then that's how you get it. All that matters is how you're writing your own story. Like you're the author of your own life. Your word is law in your universe. Your word is law in your universe. God will always listen to you, or whatever, everything, the infinite will always listen to you, to what you tell yourself. It says in the Quran, Allah says, I am as my servant sees me. Your word is law at the end of the day. You can't, like, you basically have to give the universe permission to do you well, or God, or whatever you worship. You have to give it some sort of permission. If you reject it, then it's not gonna force it. It's gonna force itself down your throat, unless you're in a cult or something. I don't wanna get into matters of the cult, just because I have very like a strong opinion on like all those things, and I don't think it's important for like this video anyway. So check out my Substack. The link is in my YouTube bio. I genuinely don't know how to edit the YouTube description. Like it doesn't work, so it's the links in my bio. Like and subscribe, because I'm like, if you've made it to the end, like I'm guessing that this was useful and stuff. So like and subscribe, and